Welcome students. We'll learn force and pressure today. Today we'll learn what is force, what is push and pull force, what are contact and non-contact forces, effects of force, balanced and unbalanced force, and at the end we'll learn combination of forces. So let's get started. In class 7th, we learned about motion and time. But what causes this motion? If I have to move this ball on right or on left side, what do I have to do? I have to throw it in the right or left direction, or I have to push it on right or on left direction. Similarly, if I want to move this car in this direction, what do I have to do? I have to start the car, right? So you must have heard words like picking, opening, shutting, kicking, hitting, lifting, flicking, pushing and pulling. All of these words mean some kind of force is being applied. While we pick, we use our hands. While opening a door, what we do? We push or pull the door, right? So all of these words refer to some kind of force being applied. There is a very simple definition to define force. It can be defined as a push or a pull. All of these words over here can be categorized, that is, all of the actions referred to by these words can be categorized into push or pull. When we hit a ball with a bat, we are pushing the ball. When you are opening a door toward you, you are pulling the door. When you are moving your bicycle out of the parking, what you are doing? You are pushing the bicycle. When you are zipping your jacket up or down, what are you doing? You are pulling it up or down. Similarly, strokes of painting or drawing, you are pushing the brush across the paper or pencil across the paper. While climbing a rope, you are pulling yourself up. So, can you think of more examples for pushing and pulling? You can write them here. When two players are wrestling, what are they doing? Who is pushing whom? When you and your friends are playing tug of war, what are you guys doing? Who is pulling whom? All of these actions are actions of force. All of these forces are occurring because of interaction of two objects. That is, they are interacting physically. When you are opening a door, you are putting your hands on the door. So, there is a physical contact. So, force can be categorized into contact and non-contact force as well. Why? Because have you seen a magnet pulling iron nails towards itself? So, is the magnet touching iron nails before it starts pulling? No. So, there is no physical contact between magnet and iron nails. But yet there is some kind of force applied so that iron nails are pulled towards the magnet. So, force can be categorized into contact and non-contact forces. Now observe these examples here. Carrying something, dragging something, putting something, lifting something, pushing something or pulling something with physical contact. All of these are examples of contact forces. And what magnet does? It's a non-contact force. What is electrostatic force? You must be knowing what is that. When you rub a plastic scale on your head, and then have you ever tried making it pull pieces of paper? If you haven't tried that, you should really. Take a plastic scale, rub it on your head. What will happen is its surface will acquire temporary charge, and the pieces of paper, pieces of paper, if you bring the scale nearer to them, just before the scale touches them, papers will be attracted towards the scale, and they will stick to surface of the plastic scale. Now this is because of electrostatic force. You must be aware of the earth revolving around sun. Yes? How does it revolve around the sun? It revolves around the sun due to something called gravitational pull. So, gravitational force is also an example of non-contact force. All of these are non-contact forces: magnetic force, electrostatic force, and gravitational force. Can you think of the reason why force can be categorized into pull and push? Because the direction in which the force is applied is very important. If I have a box here and I am standing here and I am pulling this box towards myself, then the box will move towards myself, right? In this case, we call this force as pull, right? And if I have a box in front of me, I am standing here and I am trying to push this box away from me. So force is being applied in this direction, in right direction. And in this case, it was being applied in left direction, right? So the direction in which you apply the force matters. You cannot just say that I have applied force. You have to tell in which direction have you applied the force. That is very important. So, what can we conclude about force? That force is a vector quantity. It requires both. What both? Magnitude and direction. And direction. We also know that like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. How do they do that? Through a non-contact force that acts on them. Similarly, we know that like poles of magnet repel each other and unlike poles attract each other. They too act under non-contact force of magnetism. I hope concept of contact and non-contact force is clear to you. We'll now study what are all the effects of the force. Very first is it can change the shape of the object. Second is it can change the state of rest of an object. Next is it can change the state of motion of an object. Then it can change the speed of a moving object. After that, it can change the direction of the motion. Then all of these effects can take place at a time together. Can you think of an example of change in shape of an object? Have you seen flattening of chapati balls? When a force is applied by the balan, what happens? The round looking chapati ball is changed into very thin disc, right? Can you think of change in state of rest, state of motion, or speed of the moving body, or change in direction of motion? Can you think of all of their example? If you have some examples in your mind, write in your copy. Now think of a moving of rubber tire ring. All of you must have played this game, right? When you're starting this game, the ring is at rest. But once you start hitting it with the stick, what happens? It starts moving. So what did it do? It changed the state of rest of the tire ring. Then you had to turn around with the ring. So what did you do first? You stopped the ring and then you turned around and started hitting it in the opposite direction. So what happened here? Change in state of motion happened here, right? Now your friend is catching up with you. He is starting to get in level with you. So you want to beat him in the game. So what are you doing? You are increasing the speed of your tire ring. So what is happening here? Change in speed of the moving body is happening. Now your friend is trying to hit you and push you to the ground. So what you are doing? You are moving away from him. So in order to do that, you have to change the direction slightly, and with you have to move the ring. So you hit the ring accordingly. Now what is happening here? Change in the direction of the motion that you brought about by hitting it in right direction. And if you think of it, all of these above are happening together to the ring. All of these are effects of force on a body. Now, these are the types of contact force: muscular force and force of friction. And these are the type of non-contact forces. You have learned these. Now let's look at these two. Now muscular contact force is where muscular energy is being used. For example, in picking up, pushing something, or if some animal is pulling a cart. All of these are examples of muscular force, because to apply the force, muscular energy is being used. That's why they are called muscular forces. Now looking at force of friction. If you have pushed a ball on a table or on a smooth surface, will it keep on going ahead in the direction that you pushed forever? No. The ball has to stop sometime. You can try it. It will happen. After a while, the ball will stop. How does it happen? Because a force of friction in the opposite direction is acting on it, and it is acting at the touch of the surface, both surfaces. Where you have put the ball and on the table, that at that particular point, the force of friction is acting. So when you push a ball forward, it starts with a high speed, and as it goes on forward, gradually its speed starts decreasing, and at the end the ball stops. Can you think of other examples where force of friction is occurring? Exactly. Starting everywhere. Starting from your walking, running, everything. In every action, force of friction is happening. When you are walking, at the point of contact of your feet and ground, force of friction is acting, and that's why you are not slipping off and falling down, but you are walking, you are balanced. When you are running and you want to suddenly stop, what you do? You kind of put all your weight trying to stop your motion. Just try to run and concentrate on how you are trying to stop. You will understand this. And this is where you are putting whole of your foot on the ground and opposing your running using your contact with the ground. You are applying maximum contact with the ground and stopping yourself. Just concentrate next time you are running. I hope contact forces are clear to you. Now let's look at balanced and unbalanced forces. Now balanced force means if I have this object here and I am applying force from this side, then there is one more external force of equal magnitude being applied from exactly the opposite side. Now these two forces acting opposite to each other cancel each other out, and resultant force is 0 on the object. So such a force is called as balanced force. Now what is the requirement or function of balanced force? Have you ever made clay toys? How do you give a definite shape to that clay? By pushing it inside or maybe pinching it, right? So clay is not moving anywhere. It is at the same position, but its shape is changing. So balanced force changes shape of the object. Can you think of more examples where shape of the object is changed by balanced force? Now what does unbalanced force do? It changes the state in which the object is, that is the state of rest or of motion. It changes speed of the object, or it changes the direction of motion. Let's see how does it do that. Now this is a box. This bigger force F1 is acting and smaller force F2 is also acting. Both of them are pushing the box in this direction. So what will happen? There is no opposing force here. So this force over here is unbalanced force. So this box will start moving in this direction when it has overcome the force of friction, but let's not go into force of friction right now. So the total force acting on this body is F1 plus F2. Both of these are acting on this box. Now here's another box. One big force F1 is acting in this direction and the smaller force F2 is acting in this direction. So is it a balanced force? Because it has an opposing force acting over here? No, because this is not exactly equal to F1. It is much smaller than F1. So the net force acting on this body is F1 minus F2. So the box will start moving in direction of the greater force, that is this direction. So this is how unbalanced force acts. If there are multiple forces acting on the body, the direction in which the body moves will be the direction of greatest of the forces. Now from all of these examples that we considered, can you define force now? Yes, it is an external entity capable of changing the state of rest or of motion of an object. I should also add here, it can also change the shape or the speed of the object or direction in which the object is moving. It is a vector quantity and it is expressed in Newton. It is SI unit of its measurement. I hope this concept is clear to you. In next lecture, we'll start with pressure. See you.